endorsement of the United Mine Workers and the utility workers. I can say to you, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do something with them.
You can't hear back here. The podium.
We have to do something with the EPA. And one of the things that I did right off the bat was work to vote against cap and trade. And cap and trade was a bill that came before our Congress when I was in Congress. And it basically would have been an energy tax on the miners and the people in this area. In my opinion, that's the last thing we need is an energy tax that would hurt our coal jobs. I voted no. And I voted no against my House leader, against the Speaker, against the President of the United States. And I was proud to be able to stand up for this area and vote against my cause. The other thing that I was proud of is in 2010, I was a co-sponsor of a bill, House Resolution 6113, on the floor of the House. Thank you, Congressman. Against coal. Against regulation.
Okay, my turn. Mr. Wood.
Are we going to
Do the rebuttals, the 45-second rebuttal? Oh, it's up
to the panelists? Okay.
Mr. Wilson, you voted with President Barack Obama and with the Democratic leadership for health care reform. Now, what are your feelings on health care today?
Let me say this. It was the most difficult vote of my career. And I anguished about it. I prayed about it. I talked to my family. I talked to my friends. I talked to my colleagues on the floor of the House of Representatives. I can tell you this. I couldn't stop thinking about the 31,000 children in this district of ours. 33, just all of the people that have pre-existing condition. 31,000 children that would have no coverage today. I thought about the seniors, that there's 116,000 seniors today that have access to preventive care. Things like sugar diabetes screenings, colonoscopies, that kind of care that they wouldn't have had. And $49 million in savings of charitable contributions by all of our hospitals, just in our district. So many good things about the health care.
The health care law is exactly what the Supreme Court validated that it was. It's one of the largest tax increases on the American people in America's history. 40% of America's businesses are saying that's the reason they cannot grow and expand and hire. When asked earlier this year why he voted for the health care law, Mr. Wilson said it's a way of directing the American people to accept something that's good for them. As if the American people aren't smart enough to think for themselves. When he voted for the health care law, he voted to cut $716 billion out of Medicare. That's $1.8 billion for seniors here along the Ohio River. $15,000 more per year, or over 10 years, in additional health care costs for seniors.
Thank you, Congressman.
All right, next question goes to Congressman Johnson. Our region is currently at the center of the oil and the shale gas industry. Should the federal government be more involved or less involved in regulating this industry?
Less. Absolutely less.
The state of Ohio has been regulating the oil and gas industry very well since 1965. We've got one of the model states in terms of environmental protection and safety in oil and gas. The last thing we need is for the EPA to come in and start stepping on this opportunity for the citizens of eastern and southeastern Ohio. Keep in mind, even the EPA administrator herself, Lisa Jackson, has acknowledged that in over 1 million hydraulic fracturing operations in over 60 years, there has not been one proven instance where the federal government, or where hydraulic fracturing has damaged the water supply, and we don't need the federal government coming in and overseeing what the state of Ohio is doing very well already.
I agree with Bill Johnson on that. I believe it's an opportunity that's great. I think it's going to be the kind of jobs that we need to get as many local jobs as we can, and as many folks trained to do the gas and oil that we need to do. My objection, though, is with their Congress vote for a 2-year infrastructure, for a 2-year transportation bill instead of a 5-year. There's no way for ODOT to be able to plan for what bridges we need to be able to replace, what kind of roads need to be done. A 2-year is nothing but a patch. Bill Johnson voted for it. I think it was wrong. I think you have to have some outlook and some future, basically some vision of what's going to happen in our area because of our lack of transportation bill.
This question is for Mr. Wilson. This race has been turning increasingly negative as some people's eyes. How do you think voters throughout the district are responding, and should the race focus on more issues?
I believe it should focus on more issues. However, there are 2 main issues. Jobs. My opponent has voted to send jobs to trade with Colombia, Panama, and South Korea. I think that's a serious problem. The second is health care. Medicare. And what's going on with Medicare is, quite frankly, this. My opponent has voted twice to kill Medicare, to kill it, to make it into a voucher system. I think that's wrong, and those are the 2 very important issues in this race. And it could not be more clear between he and I.
You know what's wrong with the race in the 6th district? The problem that the people of Ohio see today is a lack of integrity. The Ohio Election Commission has already established probable cause that Mr. Wilson's lying about my record on Medicare. He admitted himself that he's lying about my record on job creation. That's the problem with the negativism in this election. Look at Mr. Wilson's record on job creation. He voted for a stimulus bill that sent hundreds of millions of your taxpayer dollars overseas to countries like China. And he sells furniture right there in Bridgeport, in his showroom store, made in China. It's disingenuous to say otherwise.
Thank you, Congressman.
Question is for Congressman Johnson. Unemployment continues to be a major concern in our part of the state. What can Congress do specifically to improve this economy?
Regulatory reform and tax reform. Get the regulators off of the necks of businesses so that businesses can grow and hire and expand. We passed a bill in the House of Representatives called the REINS Act, regulations by the executive in need of scrutiny, that would require an up or down vote by the voice of the people in Congress for any regulation that cost our economy more than $100 million a year. Tax reform. We've got one of the most onerous tax codes in the free world. We need a flatter, fairer, simpler tax code, one where we eliminate the loopholes, let everybody have some skin in the game, but let everybody, including businesses, keep more of what they earn so that they can grow and hire and expand. That's what's going to put people back to work. That's what the people of southeastern Ohio deserve. That's what I've been fighting for on their behalf.